All right, everybody. Welcome back to a special episode of the Facts Over Feelings podcast. Obviously, the NFL draft is tomorrow, so we are going to do a NFL draft special episode today that will also come out later tonight. Just some of the itinerary for this episode. We're going to go through a full first round mock. Both Ryan and I have our own mock drafts that we will share with you guys. We're going to talk about some prospects that we think are overrated, maybe underrated, certain last minute trades or trade rumors that are going on right now among the NFL, and just a basic full first round diagnosis of the draft. So to kick things off, Ryan, I'll hand it off to you. We're going to just get this out of the way early, go over our top 5 picks, see if we have any discrepancies. We probably won't.
Yeah, we probably
But
won't.
Ryan, let's hear your top 5.
All right, so this should be pretty easy. Obviously, I have Joe Burrow starting off the draft, going to the Bengals. I'm pretty sure not a single person has the Bengals taking anybody else. And then second, I have Chase Young going to the Redskins. I mean, that talent you can't pass up. And then 3, I have Jeff Okudah going to the Lions. I think them trading Darius Slay gives them a really just an obvious opening for a lockdown corner. And I think he might be one of the most sure corners coming out of college in a long time. He already seems like he's just ready for the NFL. I think we've talked about this before, but just the lack of penalties. No penalties last
The
season at Ohio
discipline,
State.
yeah, the discipline he shows
You
in
don't
his
see
game.
that among any corners, much less a college corner. So that's a really good sign. And then I have 2 O linemen going back to back at 4 and 5. I have Jedrick Wills Jr. going to the Giants, and then Tristan Wirfs to the Dolphins. Now the reason Wills Jr. is to the Giants is he's been known to be a really, really strong run blocker, probably the best one in this draft. And I think that their whole goal here is to primarily open up holes for Saquon because they know he's the most talented player on that team. And I think Wills lets them do that. And he's been a really solid starter for Alabama for years. So I think that's who they're going to go with. And then the Dolphins take Wirfs. I think Wirfs is the best all-around O-lineman.
I agree.
And so I think the Dolphins take him because they have a lot of holes and O-line is really important. So I think they take Wirfs. So what do you think?
I have actually a couple discrepancies with the top 5, which is great, actually.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's good. I like it.
I have Burrow 1, Chase Young 2, Okudah 3. Although we'll get to this a little bit more later on. There are rumors that Miami might be interested in that 3rd overall pick.
That's right.
Why? Who knows? It could be because the Lions might take Tua and Miami wants Tua, but Ryan doesn't even think Miami will waste Tua at number 5. So
no, I did not.
I actually have the Giants taking Isaiah Simmons at number 4.
Really?
And the only reason, I shouldn't say the only reason, but I think the main reason why Isaiah Simmons is worth going number 4 is because he is the most versatile player in this draft. The Giants, yes, Saquon Barkley is probably their franchise player going forward, and an offensive lineman would be honestly a really good pick. I just think Isaiah Simmons is just a different breed. He's just too talented to pass up on. He's the most versatile player in the draft by far. He can play linebacker, he can play corner, he can play safety, he can play virtually almost any position on defense. And I think the Giants could use that. And I think he's just too much to pass up on. Interesting you have Miami taking Wirfs at 5. I actually have the Chargers taking Wirfs at 6, but I have Miami going Tua. And the reason why is I think it's a good fit. I think people are a little too low on Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's going to be almost as good as Burrow, if not better than Burrow. Both of them are going to duke it out for the best quarterback in this draft class.
I agree.
I love Tua's arm. I think he's also a little underrated part of his – I shouldn't say underrated, but he's relatively athletic. He can move.
Well, I mean, people forget because he got hurt, so –
Right. I think that does play into him getting injured a little bit, him thinking he's a little bit more athletic than he actually is. But I do think Miami will take Tua at 5, and then we'll start seeing some alignment fall off the board after that.
Okay. I mean, just looking at our 4 and 5 differences, I almost put Simmons to the Giants at 4. I was really close to doing that. But the reason I decided with an O-lineman is – I don't know. I look at their defense and it's not very good, but they do have Jabril Peppers, who they just got from Cleveland, and I think if they can get another O lineman to go along with Zeitler on that O line, I think that becomes a really, really nice O line. If you have 2 high-level O-lineman, you're all of a sudden your O-line becomes at the very least average, even if the rest of your linemen are bad.
I agree.
So I
No,
think
I do
that
think
they're just putting an
yeah, no,
emphasis
you're
on
right.
protecting Daniel Jones because he fumbled the ball a lot. I don't remember the exact number, but he fumbled it almost every game he started. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I just kind of put importance on the O-line, but Simmons is extremely talented. So
I do like, yeah, no, I definitely think O-line. The Giants can't go wrong if they take O-line.
mhm. Yeah.
Wirfs or Wills, but you mentioned Wills being a very good run blocking O-lineman, and
Yes.
obviously Saquon is a cornerstone player of that franchise.
Mhm.
Um, the main difference I think you and I have there is just I think Simmons is probably
Yeah.
well, he might be the best prospect in this draft, and I think he's tough to pass up on,
He's the
especially
most
when the Giants
intriguing.
do need defense. I
He's
agree.
most intriguing.
Very intriguing, and I think he'll be very utilized just because he's so
Yeah.
versatile. But
Yeah.
that's interesting actually, because I guess now I guess we
Yeah.
can switch a little bit to O lineman now that you've mentioned
Sure.
O lineman. I have Wirfs going to the Chargers at 6.
Okay.
Um, again, I think Wirfs might be, as you said, the best O lineman in the draft.
I think he might be.
I think he's just an excellent overall athlete. He can probably
Mhm.
play any position on the line. I think they're going to have him at either right or left tackle. And then I actually have the Cardinals taking Jedrick Wills at number 8.
That's a really good pick.
I think I
Yeah.
don't even know if he'll fall that far. Ideally, I think we'll get Wirfs or Wills. I don't think we're going to get Wirfs. I think he'll be off the board.
Mhm.
But if we can get Wills, Becton, Andrew Thomas, that'd be great. In my mock draft, have the Cardinals taking Wills at 8. As a Cardinals fan, I'd be
Okay.
incredibly happy with that pick. And then I have Becton going at 10, Becton at 10 to the Browns, Andrew Thomas 11 to the Jets.
Mm.
And then I even have Tampa Bay going
Wow.
offensive lineman Josh Jones from Houston at 14. So I
Really?
have a lot of O-line. I have 5 O-linemen from 6 to 14
Wow.
in the draft getting taken. So
Wow. Okay.
I don't know about you in the middle part of
Well,
that first round.
that's interesting. So so I kind of want to go through my next few picks, if that's okay, because we actually did have a decent amount of
Sure.
differences. So at 6, I had the Chargers taking Tua. So
It's an
I
intriguing pick.
I
It's an
think
intriguing
this
pick.
I think this is what the Chargers are gonna do. If they have the opportunity, I think this sets up really, really well for them. Um, hello, hello.
There we are. My bad.
Okay.
Just you cut out there for a second.
Did it cut out
Yeah. I don't
for
know what
like
happened. Yeah. For
for a
about
long
5 or
time?
10 seconds there. Yeah.
It's so sad. Well, no, I'm sorry. Well, as I was saying,
No worries.
I just think Tua fits really well with the Chargers, and I think it makes them a playoff contender immediately. So, I honestly personally hope that they go with Tua because I think that that fits really well with their team.
If two
Uh,
is available at 6, I think they should take
yeah.
him. I've heard that they are in on Tyrod Taylor. At least Anthony Lynn has come out saying that they're
I
in
mean,
on
of course
Tyrod
they're going
Taylor,
to support him.
which
Yeah.
is why I don't think they'll go Tua this draft. But I think Tua's already a much better arm talent than Tyrod Taylor is.
Hmm.
And obviously Tyrod Taylor's more mobile, but then
I
again,
mean,
I
he
think
is,
Tua's
but
just
I
the
think
better.
Tua's decently mobile. I think
He
that
is. No, I think Tua's arm talent is hard
yeah.
to pass up on if he falls to 6. So I think
Hmm.
again, if he's available there for the Chargers, go ahead and grab him.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then after that, sorry, and then I have Derek Brown at 7 with the Panthers. I know you mentioned to me earlier that you
I agree with
also
that
had
pick.
him.
I think it's just the best fit. It
Hmm.
seems like a, Carolina needs a defensive lineman, defensive tackle,
Yeah,
interior defensive lineman. Um, Brown was a beast at Auburn. I actually watched his game in the Iron Bowl against Alabama,
yeah, he's a
and he
massive guy.
made several incredible plays, and he's incredibly quick for his size, which is also what I noticed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
He's one of the
I think
best.
he'll be a good asset for
Hmm.
the Panthers for sure.
He's probably the best run defender in this
Mhm.
draft. He just eats up bodies as well. He's kind of I know people have compared him, or at least they want him to be a kind of like Ndamukong Suh type player. So
I
they're
can see
hoping that
it.
he can
Yeah,
just develop into a guy who just eats up bodies on the O line,
I
and
agree.
he's a really
I
good
agree.
run blocker. And then I actually have the Cardinals taking Andrew Thomas at 8.
Where do you
Now,
have Isaiah Simmons going?
I
I'm
now
just
see,
curious.
I was thinking about that. So I have Thomas at 8, and then I have Simmons at 9 going to Jacksonville. Now,
Okay.
I'm thinking, and I think it's very possible that the Cardinals take Simmons instead of an O lineman because I think
If
I
Simmons is there at 8,
yeah
I would hope the Cardinals
I
take
I
him.
think the Cardinals are gonna have a tough time passing him up at 8. So actually, I'm going to switch that. I mean, the Jaguars
Although
could
the
always
Cardinals
use
do
more O
need O
line.
line.
They do, but Isaiah
Again,
Simmons, dude, you guys need defense, and
completely
he's so
agree. We need
versatile
linebackers
and
and secondary. Yeah.
like he's
No,
just an
you're right.
all-around great player.
Right.
So I actually think the Cardinals will take him at 8. Um, so there we go. Isaiah Simmons at 8 for me, and then I guess I'll put Andrew Thomas at 9 for the Jaguars. I don't know if that's the best fit, but I mean they need help everywhere,
Hmm.
so it can't be the worst.
Yeah, they need every position.
Yeah,
So
they do.
anybody they take will be an upgrade.
And then
So okay,
sorry,
yeah,
go
round out
ahead.
your top 10. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
No,
And then I have Cleveland taking Becton from Louisville.
I have him
Uh,
going at 10 as well.
yeah, so I mean he's probably the most intriguing in terms of potential. Uh, just a
Incredible
massive
size,
guy,
good
extremely
athleticism for his
fast.
size.
I saw he only
Right.
has 17% body fat, which for an O lineman weighing 365 is pretty
Yeah, that's
crazy.
incredible.
So that's
Wow.
that's pretty crazy. So
He could end up being the
he
best O lineman in this draft. You never know.
oh he could. He's already a fantastic run blocker. I think he needs to
Right.
work on his pass blocking,
Right.
but he definitely has a lot of potential. So
Hmm.
that's a really interesting pick. Yeah. So
Okay, so actually, I'm going to transition here because you and I didn't mention a certain someone who a lot of people think will have at least
mhm,
gone. Some people have him going at like 5 to Miami. But I
crazy.
think a big topic of this draft is Justin Herbert. And I know you and I are both relatively low on him compared to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I want to transition to where you actually have Herbert going on your board.
Where do I have Herbert? So this might make more sense to you as to why I have the Dolphins taking an O lineman at 5 is because I have the
Okay,
Dolphins
that makes
taking
more
Herbert
sense.
at 18. I think he falls to them to 18. Um, and so I think that this all works out for them. They get him a strong O lineman. And I mean, they have a couple pieces, I guess, on the offense, mainly Devontae Parker. And then later
Hmm.
on, I actually have them adding another offensive player. So I think that it's a pretty good pick for them. I'm not the biggest fan of Herbert, um, but I think that's what the Dolphins do. And also, really, you look at the teams after 10, so after the Browns. These teams don't need quarterbacks, so I think Herbert is going to fall all the way to 18. Actually, I mean, you look at
I
the
agree.
Jets, right? The Raiders, maybe the Raiders, but I don't think so. I think they're committed to Carr. The Niners, they don't need one.
Hmm.
The Bucks are intriguing.
Hmm.
I don't want to touch on this too much, but Herbert going to the Bucks would be a really interesting pick because
Yeah,
have
no,
him
it
get
would be.
groomed under Brady for a few years. But Broncos, they have Drew Lock. They're going to try him out, and then the Falcons and the Cowboys obviously don't need quarterbacks, so that's why I have him going at 18. So I don't know. Where do you have him going?
Interesting. I actually this is going to seem a little bit of an curveball, and
Okay.
I'm less and less high on this spot for Herbert.
Yeah, let me hear it.
So the reason why I don't have the Chargers taking him at 6
Hmm.
necessarily is because I think there are better quarterbacks available in free agency if the LA Chargers wanted a quarterback.
Well, yeah, I
Again,
mentioned that.
then Herbert. So I actually have Herbert going to Jacksonville at 20. And again, that's going to seem a little bit out
Wow,
of left field. I know. Seems a little bit out of left
interesting.
field. I have Jacksonville taking
Huh.
Henderson, CJ Henderson, the cornerback from Florida at
Mm,
9.
hmm.
Um, they lost Nick Foles, so their only quarterback is Gardner Minshew, and I don't necessarily think he is a franchise quarterback.
Uh,
Then again, does the wait? I shouldn't say waste. Use a pick on Herbert this draft when they could possibly get
see.
Lawrence or Fields next draft. That's the question. That's why I'm questioning that decision a little bit. But I could see them experimenting with Herbert for a year. Maybe he doesn't work out. Maybe they're 3-13 again, and they go Fields and Lawrence anyway. I'm not 100% on this pick. I'm actually leaning towards changing it less, more and more as I talk about it. But as of right now, I think Jacksonville might go Herbert at 20. But I
Okay.
do like your theory that Herbert could go at 18 if Miami passes on 2 at
Yeah,
5.
I
So
think that's what's gonna happen. Because
it's an interesting theory.
because these O linemen are going fast, right? A lot of
They
these
are. They
teams
are.
in the 5 through 10 range need no linemen, so I think the
I agree.
Dolphins realize that. I think they want an O lineman to go with Herbert. Although with the rumor of them wanting to keep 5 and get 3, that's really interesting because now you have okay, what if they take 2 at 3 and then the best O lineman at 5? Because then you have the best of both worlds. You have the quarterback who, in our opinion,
Mhm.
is better than Herbert by a good margin, and you also have the best
Mhm.
O-lineman in the draft. So at least
Mhm.
from their analysis. So I think that's a really interesting possibility.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
think
something
the
to keep an
Dolphins
eye on.
have a very the Dolphins are the biggest question mark of this draft just because they have so many possibilities and so many things they could do. And it helps that they have a lot of needs. They need a line. They could probably use a quarterback. They could probably use some more defensive weapons.
Hmm.
I know they definitely could use an edge rusher. But having 3 first-round picks is definitely interesting because you can either just draft and get 3 very excellent players, or use a couple of those first-round draft picks to really move into, like Ryan said, getting 3 and 5 and getting the best quarterback arguably and the best O-lineman. And then
Hmm.
bam, I mean, you're still set either way.
Yeah.
It's just a
Well,
matter of will other teams work with Miami and if Miami can make a deal. But I think Miami's sitting in a really interesting spot and a really pretty spot no matter where they
they
go.
are, and I want to stay focused on the draft, but I also want to point out to everyone that the Dolphins are. I think they might be the most intriguing team of 2020. Honestly, you look at this
I
team,
agree.
and they spent a lot of money, but they added a lot of pieces, and they
They
have a
did.
lot of
They
picks.
did.
I think at least I didn't realize that they had 3 first-round picks this year.
They have 6. I read
Um,
6 of the first 72 picks in the draft. They
yeah,
basically have 6 picks in the first 2
and with how
rounds and
deep
some
this
change.
draft is, I mean, you got to keep an eye on this team coming up for the next few years. I think it's gonna be
I
really
agree.
interesting to see
I
if
agree.
they can pan out. Because if they can hit these draft picks, I don't know. I mean, all I'm saying is watch out in
They could be a
2021.
playoff team, right, in a year
Maybe,
or 2.
yeah, maybe
And
so.
again, the division is going to be as open as ever now that
Hmm.
Brady's gone. New England's
Yeah,
no longer the powerhouse of that division. So I mean, look out. Miami in 2 years could be a really, really good football team if they hit this draft well and maybe next year's draft. So
yeah.
interesting you bring that up.
All right, so we can move on now. I know we've mentioned some of these picks scattered throughout, but I kind of want to just fly through, kind of like a little quick little order here and anything that surprises us. So I'm just gonna
Sure.
go through 11 through 15. So
Go ahead. Yeah.
and just maybe we can compare and see the differences. So I have the Jets taking Jerry Judy is what so you say his last name. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
but I have him taking Judy. I know that might be kind of surprising, but I think they need another receiver to go with Darnold and Bell, and I think Judy's the best route runner in this entire draft. And that,
Hmm.
to me, I really like that. I really like a receiver that just runs really clean routes, and so
Yeah, they can get open.
he's had some drop problems, but that's more due to lack of concentration, I think. Um, so
Hmm.
I have him going at 11, and then I have C.J. Henderson going to the Raiders at 12. They got to help out that defense. He's
Okay.
a nice corner who can cover the boundary pretty well. And then I have C.D. Lamb going to the Niners. I think that they need another receiver after losing Emmanuel Sanders.
Hmm.
And I think C.D. Lamb. I actually watched some of them recently, and I didn't realize how good he was. I don't know, for some reason I didn't really have my eye on him, but he's actually a really nice player. So and then I have the Buccaneers taking who do I have? Christian Fulton. Um,
Wow, that's pretty high.
which,
Okay.
yeah, I know some people might say that's kind of high, but I
But
think
Tampa
that
definitely needs
you look at
secondary.
their weaknesses, and I think corner is probably their biggest weakness. Uh,
Hmm.
I know they have Carlton Davis, who is an Auburn alum, so I watched him in college. He's pretty solid, but I mean they don't have any safety help or corners to help him at all, so I have them taking a corner to help him out. And then just to round out the top 15, I have Justin Jefferson going to the Broncos because I think if you pair another receiver, quality receiver, with Cortland Sutton and Melvin
Hmm.
Gordon,
Hmm. It's a good offense.
that's setting up Drew Lock to succeed right there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's a
going to be
really
a good
nice
offense
offense.
next year.
So I don't know if you have any
Um,
interesting picks in
well,
11 through
you and I
15.
have similarities, even though they're not necessarily the same name. We do share
Oh,
some
I see.
similarities of player
Position.
position. So see here at 11, I actually have the Jets. Andrew Thomas will still be on the board at 11, so I have the Jets taking Andrew Thomas, a relatively weak O line that will help the tackle as well. So that will help out Darnold. Will definitely help out Le'Veon Bell.
For sure.
And I definitely think the Jets. I think O lineman is more important than receiver in terms of setting up your quarterback for success. So I do think if Thomas is available, the Jets will take him at 11.
Mm,
I actually have the Raiders going Jerry Judy at 12. I do think they need help on the outside. I
good
don't
pick.
think their receiving core is great. Waller is a nice looking tight end. But outside of that, they don't seem to have any true number one receiver, even though Waller's not a receiver, but they don't have a true number one receiver. I think Judy has that capability, as you mentioned, Ryan. Excellent route runner. Um, he does drop passes, but that can be fixed. I think that can definitely be something they work on with him. But I think Judy can really emerge as a number one receiver for this team. San Fran, they lost Emmanuel Sanders, so I have them going CD Lamb as well at 13. Another weapon for Jimmy Garoppolo, who has George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, excellent running backs. I think CD Lamb will be a great fit, especially filling in for Emmanuel Sanders. Tampa Bay, I actually have I think I already mentioned
Oh
it,
yeah,
but
you
I
did
have
mention
them
this.
taking Josh Jones, lineman from Houston. I think priority number one is to give Brady as much help as possible. They have plenty of weapons. Now they need to keep building that O-line, and I think with all the great O-linemen taken, you could see Jones go up as high as number 14 at Tampa. But if they don't take Jones at 14, I'm not really sure where he'll fall. But I think he is the best O-lineman after Andrew Thomas.
Okay.
15, you and I again agree. Denver will take a receiver. I have Henry Ruggs the third, a little bit more of a speed slot
Wow.
receiver type guy.
Okay.
Cortland Sutton is more of the bigger physical receiver, and I think the Broncos could use a speedy slot receiver like Ruggs, and I
I
think that'd
thought
be a
about that
great
as
fit for
well.
them.
Yeah, no, I thought about that as well, and I almost put Ruggs going to the Broncos, but
Mm-hmm.
I personally just really like Justin Jefferson. I think that he's just an all-around
Mm-hmm.
really good receiver. And you're right,
He is.
Ruggs is a
He
speedy
is.
guy, so he fits really well with Sutton. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to spark like a massive discussion, but if you look at speedy receivers and you look at I don't have a list of them, but I feel like if you compiled a list of the fast guys, right, that were picked in the first round or two in the last few years, I feel like they haven't really panned out to be all that great. I don't know. And maybe I'm kind of
Tyreek
uh,
Hill, Deebo
okay.
Samuel. There's
Debo
two
Sa-
examples off the top
okay,
of my
Debo
head.
Samuel's
I
not a
disagree with that
speedster.
slightly.
Debo Samuel's not
Yes,
a
he is.
speedster.
I think Deebo Samuel
What,
is definitely
bro?
a speedster.
Okay, I think Debo Samuel's more of like a bigger body. He goes over the middle and takes a beating. I think that he
Have you
runs
ever
slant
seen when they put
routes.
Deebo Samuel
Yeah, he just runs over the
when
middle
they'll
all the
when they'll
time.
run reverses with Deebo Samuel, they'll run like a double reverse and Samuel just runs.
Well, yeah, sure. But that's like Odell Beckham running a reverse. You know, like he's not
But
like
Odell
a
Beckham has
speedster.
tremendous
I
speed.
know, but I'm thinking of a speed. Sorry, let me rephrase that. A speedster to me is like a one-dimensional, Deshaun Jackson kind of speedster only kind of guy.
Okay.
That's what
But
I'm
I
thinking
definitely
of.
think Deebo Samuel is a very fast, speedy receiver.
Sure, sure.
If he's not
Hmm.
necessarily, we can talk about this another day, obviously. But I definitely think
Sorry.
Deebo Samuel is one of the quicker receivers in the NFL, and he is a dynamic playmaker when he gets the ball in his hands in the open field. But we'll
Okay.
talk about more about that.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
disagree
yeah.
with
I'm
what you
sorry.
just said there, Ryan.
Okay.
I definitely think speed is an important element at the
Well, I
wide
think it's a
receiver
really important
position.
element. You have to take the top off of a defense, but
Right. And you saw it with Kansas City. I think it's also more about system. Like Kansas City's
yeah.
their entire receiving core is speed. Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman,
Mm,
not Demarcus Robinson. But basically their entire receiving core is all speed, and look what they did. They won the Super Bowl. So
yeah. No, you're
it's
not
just
wrong.
about system, but it's an interesting debate. I disagree with that.
Okay. Okay.
So
Interesting.
I guess now we can move into, since we basically analyzed our top 15 already.
Mhm.
Any
I mean,
prospects? Actually, no, we'll go with this first. Anybody in this draft that you feel is very underrated? Somebody in the late first round that could really emerge early on, or somebody that is overrated?
hmm.
Obviously, you and I both think Herbert is slightly overrated. That's the
Well,
main thing we've agreed on in
yeah.
terms of
So
overrated players. But any underrated prospects that could really emerge late in the first round?
in regards to prospects that can emerge late, I think I am going to keep an eye on Grant Delpit.
Okay.
He did regress slightly, I think, this past year, but he's been
Mm-hmm.
really really solid. Safety out of LSU. I actually have him going to the Patriots at 23,
Okay.
and that
Interesting pick
might be a
there.
surprising pick. Just because they have Devin McCourty and they lost obviously a pretty big weapon on offense, but I still think that
Fair
they're
enough.
going to build for the future, and I think Delpit at that position is probably in my opinion, one of the best available players. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's something to keep an eye on. Really hard hitter, sees the field really, really well, fantastic vision, and is just kind of a ball hawk if you watch him out on the field. So I like him, and yeah. I think so. Do you have
So
anybody in
one of my
particular?
late round guys, you
Mhm.
already mentioned his name. I actually have Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I have him going at 21 to Philadelphia.
That's good. That's good.
And I think that'll be a great fit for them. Again, Justin Jefferson, excellent receiver. We saw him with Burrow this year at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Size, excellent route running. He's a really, really good all-around receiver. Carson Wentz is an elite thrower of the football, and I feel like Jefferson will make an immediate impact with the Philadelphia Eagles, especially with, you know,
Nelson
receivers like Nelson Aguilar, a
Aguilar.
little bit of a weaker receiver core. Not a deep. They have Jeffrey and
They have
Ertz, but
Alshon Jeffrey,
outside of that, they could use depth at the wide receiver, and I
and
feel like Jefferson would
Aguilar's
be an
not
excellent
that great.
complement. I agree. Aguilar's huge drop problems,
Mm-hmm.
all that. So I think Jefferson is an excellent fit for the Eagles at 21.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned who New England's going to take. I'm going to mention
Yes.
who New England's going to take because this is a little bit out of left field. I have no basis for this pick. This is just a gut feeling. We've talked about Jordan Love a little bit. He's kind of a wild card. Will he go in the first round? Will he not go in the first round? People have him going as high as like 18. Some people think Miami might take him at 18 instead of Herbert.
Mm.
I actually have New England going Jordan Love at 23. No really
Wow.
reasonable basis for this.
Okay.
It's
It's an
sort of just
interesting
like a
pick.
gut feeling. New England is known to just kind of do, I'm not going to say random things, but picks that
Well,
might
yeah,
not be people, that might not fit people's
they throw people
expectations.
off. Mm-hmm.
Right. And obviously, this would be a great time for New England to maybe pick a quarterback,
Yep.
considering I don't think they're going to go one or two in next year's draft when Fields and Lawrence come
No.
out. And I think Jordan Love, under the right system, could thrive, and you never know. I think New England will take a chance on him. People
Okay.
said they might take a chance on Jalen Hurts. I don't necessarily know if they're willing to
Mm.
go that far, but I think they'll go Jordan Love at 23. It's
Okay.
a little bit out of left field, but I do think it'd be an interesting fit for them.
Yeah, no, that'd be a really interesting fit. And I actually have a question for you in regards to that. So if you have him
Sure.
taking him at 23, do you think he starts week 1 for the Patriots?
I mean,
I know
here's
it's
the
a hard
thing.
question.
Here's the thing. Who's he competing against? Jared Stidham. And is
Brian
Brian
Hoyer.
Hoyer still on the team? I forgot. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian Hoyer.
Yep.
I mean, out of those three guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Love was the starter week 1.
Okay.
I mean, I could honestly see him starting week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's hard because I don't really know. And again, with the coronavirus, there hasn't been any like off season mini camps, and there probably won't be any off season mini camps for at least a little while. Um, But look, I mean, considering who New England has, assuming New England signs nobody like a Cam Newton or a Jameis Winston, I'm
Yeah.
not going to commit to Jordan Love starting week 1, but I definitely think he is the best of those three quarterbacks there.
Okay. So if it's those three quarterbacks, you think it'll probably be
I'm
Jordan
not
Love
going to
starting?
commit to Love, but I would guess Jordan Love.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's that's an interesting pick. So you just mentioned Jordan Love, and now that we're on the topic of Jordan Love, I think it's time that I mention where I have Jordan Love going. I actually have Jordan Love going about 7 picks later to the Green Bay Packers. I have him going
Great.
at
I
30
could see that.
to the
See that.
Packers. I think that everyone remembers how Aaron Rodgers came into the league, right? He was drafted and he backed up Brett Favre for, I want to say, was it at least 3 years? I don't remember exactly how long. I was pretty
Yeah,
young,
definitely at
but
least 2 or 3
but it
years.
was a
Yeah.
few. It was at least a few years. So I think that they're going to do that again with Jordan Love this time. And a lot of people have been saying that he's kind of the dark horse quarterback coming into this draft, someone who a lot of people think has more potential than Justin Herbert, and I know a lot of people might think that Justin Herbert's a really, really quality quarterback, and he could be better than Tua. But there's just as many people who think Jordan Love could end up being as good or better than Herbert. So I think that the Packers will go with that and hopefully plan for the future because they have a solid team and they never really seem to fall all the way off. They always seem to hang around. So if they can have Love for when Rodgers ends up retiring, I think that that'll work out really well for them. So, and then I also kind of want to transition into a different position now. I want to kind of move on to running backs. And Trevor, I
Hmm.
kind of want to ask you maybe if you have any running backs going in the first round of this draft. Is there a single running back going in the
No,
top 32?
I don't have one.
Wow,
Um,
not a single one.
No, look, there's some good running backs in this class. Dobbins, Taylor are definitely highlighting that running back class.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, I think the running back position is just it's tough for me to see an NFL franchise use a pick on a running back in the first round. because it feels like teams are replacing running backs every 4 years. And it's partially due to the physicality of the position, getting hit 20, 25 times a game by usually linebackers or D linemen who are very large human beings.
Mhm.
And running backs aren't necessarily the most sought after position anymore. You definitely see wide receivers and corners and linemen definitely as like a more utilized position in today's NFL, considering that the game is much more air raid than ground attack. So I think Dobbins and Taylor will go in the second round. I don't have them going in the first round. I just feel like the
Okay.
running back importance is decreasing as the NFL as we get
Wow.
as the NFL changes.
Okay. See, I don't want to push back too hard, but I kind of feel like I don't know if running back importance is decreasing. I think it's more of just the amount of time that these players can sustain like the high level of play. I think you look at
Fair enough.
players like,
Fair enough.
because I think you look at people like DeMarco Murray, and you remember his glory days on the Cowboys. He was
Hmm.
spectacular for a few years, but it was only for 2, maybe 3 years on the Cowboys. Then he went to the Eagles, wasn't the same player. Went to the Titans, had a
Right.
good half season, which just was never the same. So it's all about sustainability. And I think you look at positions like receiver, you look at positions like offensive line and quarterback, obviously, and you see a high level of sustainability in the sense of these players can have a high level of play for a lot longer than
Hmm.
running backs can. So,
Hmm.
if you draft a guy like CeeDee Lamb in top 15, that's pretty worth it because you're banking on the fact that he's going to be on your team contributing for 15 years,
Right.
and
Right.
or like 12 to 15 years, right? But a running
And that's
back,
the exact reason. That's the
6 or
exact reason
7.
why I don't think exactly. That's the exact reason why I don't think these teams will take a running back is the
Okay, okay.
sustainability. I guess importance is the wrong word. You used a better word, sustainability.
Mm,
The running back position just isn't very sustainable. And
there
I'll
you
use
go.
my team as a perfect example, the
Mm,
Arizona Cardinals. David Johnson had an MVP caliber year. We pay him 2, maybe 3 years later after a couple injuries, we dump him
mm-hmm.
for obviously DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
I think it's tough because when running backs like Elliott, Todd Gurley have 2 great years in a row, it's hard to not pay them. But then we see with Todd Gurley, you pay him. He now has injury issues, and it's not like just like it's like a nagging, prolonged knee thing
Well,
that he's
he's
had.
really unlucky. Yeah, that's
Right.
tough.
He's always had knee issues.
Yeah.
Elliott seems to stay healthy. He's been an exception. We'll see how Saquon Barkley turns out. But again, the running back position, I think it's just due to the amount of
Mm,
wear and tear they get, 20, 25 hits every game.
mm-hmm.
I think just wears on the body. And you're right, it's just almost impossible to be sustainable
It
for
is.
more than maybe 5 years. And
Yeah.
maybe a human freak like Derrick Henry will be sustainable for 10 to 12 years. He's probably the only guy I could see being sustainable for that long.
Nick
Maybe
Chubb?
Elliott, but maybe, I guess maybe Chubb. We'll see.
No, I don't know. I'm just hoping.
But oftentimes, like running backs just wear down after a few years,
Yeah,
and it's
no, for sure.
unfortunate because there's a lot of really good running backs, but again,
Oh, there's a
sustainability
lot.
is the biggest question.
And I think we're kind of going on a little tangent here. I'll wrap this up really quick, but I think it's become more so in recent years as the game's just gotten faster and more and even more physical than decades ago. I think that just the wear and tear on these players is just
Hmm.
really really hard. And I think the one exception is someone like Adrian Peterson, and even him. I mean, he's in his what's he 36 now, something like that. I mean,
Yeah,
people like that, Frank Gore, people like that don't like. There's not running backs that are going to do that anymore. Like this generation of running backs, Elliott, Gurley, I don't think they last past 32 or 33.
I agree. I
So
agree.
it'll be interesting to see. But you're right, the running back position definitely has taken a hit in recent years in terms of value. But I still have one running back going in the first round, and I think this is all just a big puzzle. And it's for the Dolphins at number 26. I think J.K.
Interesting.
Dobbins is going to go to the Dolphins. And like I said, they're fitting pieces to a puzzle. So they get their top tier O lineman. I think they can get their quarterback, and this is without trading.
I
If there's
really like what you did with the Dolphins, with the exception of taking Dobbins at 26. 5 and I
really,
like 5 and 18.
really
I think
okay.
they
I
need to
mean,
go. I think they should go edge. I think they should go edge rusher. Maybe Epineza, Davidson. I
I
guess
don't know.
Davidson from Auburn's on edge rusher, but if they went Gross Matos, Epineza, Davidson, someone on the D line with Wills and Herbert, I think that'd be a very solid draft for the
They could
Dolphins
go.
as
They could go
well.
like Charleston or something, like the edge rusher from LSU.
I have them going
Uh,
pretty high, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going lower, but I guess I just really think that the Dolphins can retool this offense really fast, and I think that they signed I don't remember off the top of my head all of the players they signed, but I think they signed a lot of defensive players.
They
Um,
did. They did.
obviously the
They
most
definitely
notable being
did.
Byron Jones. So I think that they're really going to pay attention to the offense, and I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be a top 15 running back in the league. Um, I think I really like him. I really like him. He's
Is
just
there is there an NFL comparison to J.K. Dobbins off the top of your head?
Is there an NFL comparison? That is a really good question. In my opinion, I would go with honestly, kind of like I watch him. I kind of remind me of DeMarco Murray, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of someone like that. He's a solid pass catcher out of the backfield. It's not his primary thing. He's really, really good in between tackles. Has nice breakaway speed as well, and he does not fumble the ball, which
Is it
also
crazy
I
that
really
he
like.
kind of reminds me of like Zeke Elliott, who also went to
No,
Ohio
no, that's
State?
that's not crazy at all. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I have a hard time comparing him to a top 5 running back right now. But
Right.
yeah,
It's hard. Right.
but no,
It's
it's just a
early.
comparison, so that's okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think he's kind of similar in those types of players. But he's got a nice combination of like size and an ability to stay on his feet, plus nice burst breakaway speed. So
I think
I really like him.
his highlight performance this year was actually in their loss to Clemson.
Yes, it was.
Um, I felt like Dobbins had an unbelievable game. More so, I think he more so showed out than Lawrence or Fields. I think
Hmm.
Dobbins showed why he is capable of being a first round draft pick.
No doubt.
Definitely first round talent. It just depends on if a team's willing to use a first round pick on a running back. We'll see.
Hmm. And I also want to mention, now that we just mentioned the national championship game, I do want to mention one other player that was in that title game, in a receiver in T. Higgins. And I might
Interesting.
be overvaluing
Interesting.
him, but the reason I have him going in the first round, and this is the Philadelphia, pretty high at 21. And the reason I have that is just because there's a lack of receivers. I have a lot of receivers going. I have Henry Ruggs going to the Raiders at 19, and then obviously I have Jefferson, Lamb,
Hmm.
and Judy going higher. So
Hmm.
I have Higgins going to the Eagles, and I actually think he can fit kind of well. I mean, him and Alshon on both sides of the ball, two big receivers.
Right.
I think that could work out really well. I just wanted to mention that because I
I
think.
forgot about T. Higgins.
Mhm.
I don't have him going in my first round. But again, he very well could. I still have like six receivers going in the first round.
Is there any other receivers you have going in the first round other than the
I have
ones that we've mentioned?
Denzel Mims, the receiver from Baylor, going to Green Bay at
Really?
30.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I like your Jordan Love theory. I just don't necessarily think they're going to get a quarterback of the future yet. I think they'll wait another year or two before they start finding a
Hmm.
true replacement for Rodgers.
Okay.
And I still think they're in the win now mode with Aaron Rodgers, where they can probably get another 2 years of relatively high level play
I think so
from
too.
him. So I think they'll go Mims or maybe T. Higgins or like Ayuk from Arizona State. I think they'll go
Mm,
receiver in the first round. I have them taking Mims, but if they
okay.
went Higgins or Ayuk, wouldn't be an issue either.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's solid. They obviously don't have the strongest receiving core after Devontae Adams, so they need some help, right?
Completely agree with that.
So that's a solid pick. But I just feel like uh, Jordan Love, really nice potential. I think that it's proven that they can work. They can groom a quarterback behind their starter, and I think while simultaneously mentoring the backup for taking over in a
Hmm.
few years. So I think I'm really intrigued by the Jordan Love pick. You're right. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're really sold on just going now
It's
because
intriguing. It's
uh,
intriguing. It's
so, but
intriguing for sure.
but I think that that's a really intriguing thing. And so we've talked a lot about these players, but I wanted to give you one more chance. I don't know if you have anybody else you want to mention, any other notable names, maybe in the bottom half of this first round.
Um,
If not, it's okay. I don't know if you have someone else that was
trying to
worth
think
talking about.
who.
Because if not, I do have one more. If you want me to
Yeah,
mention
one
that real
sec before I
fast.
let you finish. I really like your. I
Hmm.
really like the idea of Wills going at 4.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards thinking that might happen, where they take
Mm,
Wills at 4, Miami go or yeah, and Miami goes. I think you said Worse at 5 for
yes.
Miami.
Yes. Worst at 5.
I like that theory.
Hmm.
I think I think Tua will go to Miami at the end of the day, but I'm really intrigued about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Mainly because my Cardinals could get Isaiah Simmons if that were to be the
Yes.
case.
Yes.
So if we got Isaiah Simmons, I'd be a very happy man. But I think you have some very intriguing ideas there at the top of your draft. No, for me, nothing too out of the air, out of the blue.
Okay.
I've mentioned everything I need to say about my draft, but yeah,
Okay.
I'll let you take it away.
All right, cool. No, yeah. So I do think that Miami, at least, I mean, this is kind of a little light blueprint or plan that I kind of have here, and I really just think that this is the best opportunity. Although if they can trade up and get Tua as well, obviously it seems like that's what they're trying to do. So maybe they can
Hmm.
get that done. But yeah, just in regards to one more player that I wanted to mention, it's not really that important. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Sure,
I have the Vikings taking Trevon Diggs. Obviously
I
he's
do as well.
that's funny. But yeah, obviously they lost Xavier Rhodes, right? So they need, and he wasn't great last year, but they do need help at that position. So I think
Diggs at
he's
22.
yes at 22.
I also have Diggs going at 22.
Hmm.
Interesting.
And you know what's
What's
funny? He actually
what? Okay, go ahead.
he
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say he is Stephon Diggs' brother, so that's just kind of funny.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
He just got traded to the Bills, so that's kind of unfortunate. But I do have him going
I
at
honestly didn't
22.
know that. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm
isn't that
glad you
really
mentioned
funny?
that.
So it's just
I
kind of a
had
little fun
no
fact.
idea.
Yeah,
And the weird thing is that 22nd pick would have been Buffalo's pick.
I know. I know.
That's weird.
Isn't
I
that
think
so
it's
strange?
destiny. I think now that you mention it, Trevon Diggs is going 22 for sure.
Yeah, no, I think he is as well. That's kind of it's gonna be kind of an interesting dynamic. I don't know, just between brothers. Like, Diggs kind of has some bad blood with the Vikings, just kind of the way that last season went down. So it's just gonna
Right.
be kind of
I don't know
funny.
if they play each other though. They obviously
Oh,
aren't
I
in
have
the
no
same
idea.
division or conference, but we'll
It'd be
see.
yeah. All right, so I don't know. I think that's kind of our
Do
nice
you want to
little. I'm sorry.
somehow maybe screen share to see the full list of our mock drafts,
Yeah, no,
or
yeah, we can go ahead and do that. I
just
don't
in
know if we
case,
can
like
both do it at the same time. If you want to,
we can
maybe.
go one at a time.
Okay,
Um,
here I
let's
can.
see how to. I don't really know how to do it. Actually,
Here
I think I
I
know
can
how
go
to do
ahead
it.
and do it.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. You go
Fast.
first.
All right, here we go.
We're
We're
gonna. I
gonna.
know we've gone through pretty much most of our picks, but just in case you guys didn't write them down or remember, we'll
Are you able
screen
to see
share
that
our
right there?
full. I'm not. Right now, I see a black screen.
Wait, you see a black screen?
Yes.
Wait, actually?
There we go. There we go.
Okay, here we go. There we go.
Scroll down.
Okay, so yeah, here. So I'll just scroll nice and slowly, just so you can kind of just see the whole draft there. I kind of feel like it's going to be a really interesting draft, and it's going to be really, really, really heavy on the offensive line early, but it's going to transition more to the defensive side of the ball, particularly the secondary on the back half, lower end of this draft,
Yeah.
and in the
Secondary and receiver will definitely take over the middle to back
middle
half
and back half.
of the draft.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I have the Chiefs at the bottom here taking a linebacker out of LSU, so
Perfect.
that's kind of
All
an interesting
right.
little one. But yeah, there we go. I will stop sharing that. There it is.
I will quickly show you guys my
Now let's check.
screen here. Is everyone able to see that?
It's loading up. Yeah, I can see it.
So I think you can see the whole thing. Burrow 1, Young 2, Akuda 3, and so on. Ryan, any comments? I saw a couple of your picks, and we have a lot of disagreements in the back half of our draft.
Yeah, we do. But to be fair, we do have a lot of similarities in terms of team needs. So I feel like we're kind of on the
And
same
position,
page.
right. It's more
Yeah,
like, we don't really know the exact player, but we do have
we know a
a
decent idea
fair
of
amount of
who's.
agreements on the position for sure.
Yeah. Do I have any disagreements? I still don't think Herbert's going to go to Jacksonville. I think.
I'm leaning towards I'm liking that less and less.
Okay.
But
I
I
I
think it's an interesting idea.
I'd even think it's more likely that he goes to Denver than Jacksonville. But I think Jacksonville's just going to straight up tank this year for a top two quarterback because I think they're probably the worst team in football going to the draft.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but other than that, no, I like it. I do like Marlon Davidson, but I don't know if Miami is going to go for him just because I feel like they're going for high impact players, and Davidson's more of just kind of he's a poor man's Derek Brown, kind of in the sense of he's a massive body, Ndamukong Suh type, just
The only
really
reason
good at
why I
defending the
think
run.
he could be useful is Miami. They do need I believe they need a defensive end, maybe slash edge rusher,
Mm.
or maybe just a D lineman in general. Davidson can play inside or out, so I think he's a versatile defensive lineman. So I do think Miami will be able to utilize him right
Yeah,
away.
he is a better pass
But
rusher than
again,
Derek Brown.
he's sandwiched in between Gross Matos and Epineza, who are
Mm.
both edge rushers.
Hmm.
But I definitely think Miami with that 26 pick will go some sort of D line. I definitely think they're going to go D line there.
Okay, interesting.
Um,
Yeah,
but
obviously I had them going running back, so that's kind of a controversial little pick there. But wait,
mhm.
who do you have the Ravens taking? You have the Ravens taking
I have them taking
one
that
sec.
sort of hybrid linebacker, Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma.
So do I. That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so we both have the
I
same
think
one.
it's
I
just
just
a
thought that
good
was
fit.
funny.
They could use a linebacker, and he's kind of a I don't want to say a poor man's Isaiah Simmons, but he has that element to his game where he can be rather versatile and play multiple
Hmm.
positions. So I think that would be a solid pick for Baltimore if they
Hmm.
got Kenneth Murray at 28. I think it'd be a good fit for them.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
Awesome.
All
All
right.
right,
No, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
perfect.
That's good. And yeah, I think this went pretty well. I hope everyone got some idea of what to expect from the draft tomorrow, at least in regards to team needs. So maybe, you can impress some
That's probably the
people.
best. That's probably the most
Uh,
valuable information we can give you is team need. We don't have any
yeah.
inside sources or anything like that as to who they're going
That
to
would be
take.
nice.
But I think team need, we definitely saw eye to eye on a lot of things.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah,
I
I
think
thought this
this
was awesome.
is, yeah,
Glad
no,
we
I
did
think this is
this.
really solid, and I'm looking forward to watching the draft tomorrow. Hopefully, it all goes off with no problems. The whole virtual online draft. Hopefully that
Hmm.
works out okay. And then we will, I believe, we're going to try to be back for a nice post-draft analysis. Hope by the end of the draft, after all 3 days, maybe we come back and
Maybe
give a little.
Sunday,
Yeah, maybe over on
Sunday,
the
Monday,
weekend,
somewhere in that.
Sunday, Monday. Maybe
I know I
we.
said last podcast we'd go every other Sunday, but obviously the NFL draft
Yeah, I mean this
is
is a
tomorrow, so
different.
this is a little bit of a different dynamic. But
Yeah, we thought we'd throw out a little.
yeah, expect the every other Sunday at least until more sports pick up,
Mhm.
and then we'll probably go more regular uploads. But yeah,
Yeah, no. Awesome. So I don't know. I
perfect.
hope everyone enjoys and have fun watching the draft, and we'll be back later in the week.